What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the JDW Sports Talk Show, where every fan is welcome. We're officially back. We're ready to rock and roll. This time for our NFL divisional round picks, predictions, and breakdown, my analysis, and giving you my opinion on every matchup this upcoming weekend, who I think is going to win, who I think is going to advance to the conference championships. It's going to be a good weekend. There are a couple of good matchups. I think there's a potential for one upset or maybe even two. I think it's going to be a fun weekend. We have a lot of really fun matchups. We really do. There's one matchup where you look at and it's like, yeah, man, that one's really tough. Otherwise, the other three you can kind of look at and be like, hey, you can get a good general idea if you've watched football. If you get a good general idea of who you think will win, but some of these games may be kept a little closer than you'd think. But real quick before we get into it, make sure you like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on so you don't miss any future videos. We're going to be covering the rest of the postseason. Then we're going to be getting to the offseason. I want to get into UFL content. So going to be a lot of good stuff coming up here in spring. NFL is winding down. Of course, we have free agency, the draft, UFL, all of that great stuff. So stick around if you are interested. But that's enough of me blabbering. Let's get into the game. So the first game we're going to talk about are the Chiefs and the Houston Texans. So the Chiefs might actually be getting Jalen Watson back this weekend, which would be huge. Very good cornerback. So that would add on top of a really stingy and difficult Chiefs defense to get past for the Texans. I mean, let's talk about how the Texans looked last week. So that Texans defense was absolutely incredible. Now, could you say that the Chargers beat themselves maybe more than the Texans beat them? I think that's a case that you can make, but at the end of the day, the Texans won the game. They did what they had to do. They disrupted Justin Herbert, and Herbert has not really been good in the playoffs. A couple times he's been in there. Now, he hasn't had a lot of help, but that's besides the point. The Texans had a really good game last week. I mean, I didn't think the Texans were going to win, okay? And like I kind of said, the Chargers had more of a bad game than anything, but the Texans caused that, and you can't discredit the Texans. I mean, C.J. Stroud, he came out, he looked good. They were able to get the run game going a little bit at times. It felt like as the game went on, the run game was getting stronger. It was a really good outing for the Texans, but this weekend, they're facing another really good defense. I mean, last week they played the Chargers. The Chargers, yes, they like to pressure. Yes, they're going to press you, but the Chiefs, they're going to play a little bit different of a style of football. They're going to be showing you pressure looks. They're going to be showing you a million different looks and dropping back out of the pressure, dropping back out of the blitz, bluffing the blitz. They're going to make you guess. You cannot make a pre-snap read. You have to be ready to survey the field. And C.J. Stroud is going to be able to do that just fine. The only thing is he doesn't really have the weapons. The offensive line is really going to struggle. The offensive line did really struggle versus the Chargers. C.J. Stroud was under pressure, was under duress all game long, as he has been all season long. And this weekend, it's not going to get any easier. You're going up against the Chiefs, who their defensive line is just absolutely wild. I mean, and the Chiefs' strength really is the interior of the defensive line, and the Texans' weakness is their interior of the offensive line. So it is not a good matchup for the Texans. I think the Texans are going to struggle to get the run game going, and that's the last thing you want going into Arrowhead. The Chiefs having 2 weeks of rest, playing Patrick Mahomes. The last thing you want is to not have a good matchup going into the game, to at least be able to run the football. I mean, and it's not good at all. There's a big difference right there. There's a big discrepancy between the Chiefs' defensive line and the Texans' interior offensive line. So, and sometimes interior pressure is the worst because you can't really escape it. You know what I mean? But the Texans, they're probably going to have a long day, man. This offense is going to have a long day. But the reason why the Texans have a chance, I don't think they're going to win, but I think they have a chance because of their defense. Kind of what I've been saying about the Chiefs a lot throughout the year. I mean, the Chiefs' offense has not been great. They've struggled at times. I'm not sure if the Chiefs scored 30 points once. They might have once, but the Chiefs have struggled to put up points. But that defense is so good. That defense keeps them in the game, and then by the time it comes to fourth quarter, when Patrick Mahomes has to go on the field, when Patrick Mahomes, when you're going to go for it on fourth down more often, when Patrick Mahomes has 4 downs to work with, it's going to be a long day. It doesn't matter who his receivers are, who his running backs are, who his tight end is. I mean, it's going to be a hell of a time trying to stop Patrick Mahomes when he has 4 downs to work with. And the Texans, they have a damn good defense, man. But the Chiefs' offense line is going to offset their pass rush a little bit. Not completely, but a little bit. Mahomes is going to escape, do his thing, make a couple big plays here and there. And I say that the Chiefs are going to win it. And I say this game is going to be right onto the wire. This may be too many points for the game because of how good both defenses are and how poor both offenses have been this season. The Texans, like I said, the Texans were very fortunate. The Chargers had a very poor game last week. I mean, and they took advantage. Props to them. They took advantage. They moved on. They wanted it more. But we'll see how this offense plays out. We'll see how Bobby Slowick calls this offense. I know a lot of Texans fans aren't too happy with Bobby Slowick, but I thought he did an all right job versus the Chargers. It was really that fumble that really changed the game and put the momentum into the Chargers, or put the momentum into. No, never mind. That fumble was John Mechie, but then the Chargers, I think they only got actually a field goal off of that. So really big time props to the Texans defense for really limiting a really good quarterback. Now, unfortunately, they did get fortunate a couple of times where the receiver just straight up dropped the football. The Chargers had a lot of really bad drops, really just a lot of mishaps. And like I said, props to the Texans for forcing those. Props to the Texans for taking advantage of those opportunities. That was the difference in that game. The Texans took advantage, and they made every opportunity they had, every extra opportunity they had, worthwhile. They did good in the 2-minute warning. They did good when it mattered most. And it's kind of going to be like the same. That's how the Chiefs are as well. I mean, they play their best when it matters most. So this is going to be a really good game. I just don't think that the Texans are going to be able to beat the Chiefs. I don't think it's going to be enough. I mean, C.J. Stroud is nice. He's good, but their offensive line struggles are really going to come through in this one. A couple of the injuries do have Nico Collins, but, I mean, other than that, yeah, you have Schultz. Yeah, you have a couple of the guys that can make plays, but being down Tank Dell and Diggs getting hurt in the beginning of the season really hurts. Maybe if Diggs and Dell weren't hurt, I'd say maybe the Texans actually have a good, legitimate chance to win this game. And they still have a chance. Like I said, it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a close game all the way through because of how the defenses are going to play. But you never know. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and that Chiefs team, they also become a whole new animal when it comes to the playoffs. So are they going to manhandle the Texans? We'll see. I don't know. I think it's going to be a close game, a closer game than a lot of people may think, actually. But the Chiefs are coming off of 2 weeks of rest as well. Their starters are really good players. So that's something to take note there. And then having that extra week off as well for that first round bye, that's something to know. Yeah, they are home. It's a very difficult place to play, and they have the rest, but that could also work against you having all that rest because it might sound weird, but sometimes we don't play for so long, you're out of rhythm, and it takes a little bit to get going. And if the Texans can get off to a strong start, maybe the Texans could win this one. But like I said, I don't think the Texans win this football game. I have the Kansas City Chiefs pulling this one out, 26-23 over Houston. All right, next up, we're going to move over to the NFC side of things. Now, this game could be a lot closer than a lot of people anticipate. Jaden Daniels is just an absolute monster. He looks so damn good. I mean, the Commanders have a good football team, man, but this is where it ends. This kind of reminds me of the position the Lions were in last year versus the Niners, if you ask me. I mean, the Lions had a really good year last year, and it kind of propelled them into the year they're having this year. It's kind of a similar year for the Commanders this year. I mean, they're looking really good. They have a lot of really good young pieces put in place, but they're just not there yet. And I don't think they're just ready yet to take on the Lions. But if you look at this Lions passing defense, that Lions passing defense is an issue. And considering you're going up against Jaden Daniels, one of the hottest quarterbacks in the NFL right now, that is a little bit of a concern. But the Lions can run the football really well. The Commanders aren't too great at stopping the run. So that is a major disadvantage for the Commanders here. If you can't stop the run, it's not good. And especially when you're going up against a team like the Lions. And the Lions could control any game that they want. They could stop the run really well, and then they could run the ball really well themselves. And they do struggle against the pass. Maybe this is one of those games where Jared Goff implodes. Maybe he throws a couple of interceptions and the Commanders take advantage, and then the Lions just simply can't catch up. The Commanders, it will be vital to get out to a strong start, though, if they want a chance to win this game. They cannot afford to go down 10 points, 14 points at any point in this game. If they go down by more than one score in this game, it probably will be over because the Commanders will struggle to stop the run. The Lions will pound the football. They'll choke out the clock. They'll really just kill the clock, and then the Commanders really won't have a chance to get back into the game. I do think it's going to be a good game, a fun game. It is going to be a very fun game. I mean, two teams for a very long time that have not been very good. Both teams really struggling to get to the postseason, really struggling in the regular season, and struggling to be a 500 football team. But here we are. Both of them are facing each other in the divisional round in 2025, in the 2025 playoffs. So it's just that kind of a league, how quickly things can turn around, and how quickly a quarterback can speed up a rebuild or turn a team around like Jaden Daniels has, or even look at what Jared Goff has done for the Lions. So it's going to be a good game, man, but the Commanders aren't ready to beat the Lions yet. They aren't in that upper echelon of teams, even though they're one of the one of the few teams remaining. I was shocked that they beat the Bucs. I'll say that. I was shocked that they beat the Bucs. That was an incredible game. But it's not going to be enough versus the Lions. And like I was just saying before, the Lions having that extra week of rest, having an extra bye week, that's good and all. That's great. They're able to get some extra scouting of their opponents, maybe get some extra rest, extra practice in there, extra game planning. But sometimes not being on the field for that 1 week can get an offense, can get a team out of rhythm just a little bit. And if the Commanders could jump out to a quick lead, take that run game out, and force Jared Goff to have to throw the football, have to throw themselves back in the game, and then maybe he throws an interception or two, okay. Maybe the Commanders have a chance. I mean, heck, they beat the Eagles a couple weeks ago. So, a couple weeks before the postseason started. So, the Commanders, they have a chance. They're a good football team, but they're not ready to beat the Lions yet. I don't think they're going to be the Lions, and I don't think the Lions are as good as a lot of people say they are. The story is awesome. It's a great story, and I'd love to see them win the Super Bowl, but I don't think they will. Their passing defense is not good enough. That's mainly my biggest issue. They really struggle to slow their opponent's passing game down. So, give me Lions 34-24, but it'll be an entertaining game, man. It's going to be a really fun game. When's the last time you've seen the Commanders and the Lions in the divisional round facing off against each other? Yeah, it's been a long freaking time since that has happened. But all right, now we'll move on to the Bills and the Ravens. Probably the most difficult game to predict this weekend. But once again, we're talking about the Ravens. With the Ravens, we're talking about a passing defense that isn't as good. That isn't very good, and that's going to be their big downfall this game. I mean, there were a couple big plays they allowed the Steelers to have last game, and if you play like that versus the Bills, and they're very fortunate that the Steelers just came out flatlined. I mean they came out with no energy, with nothing going for them, and they didn't really come out like they wanted. Second half, the Steelers had a little bit of life, and look what they did. But now you're going from playing Russell Wilson and Pickens to Josh Allen, Khalil Shakir, Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, James Cook. The list goes on and on and on and on and on, right? I can't believe I just did that. But the list goes on and on. The Bills have so many weapons. Josh Allen is so scary to go up against. Now, the Ravens do have a really good run defense, so they could contain, and I think they could contain Allen, but you can only contain Allen for so long, one. Two, Allen will beat you with his arm, whether it's being accurate, whether it's just throwing the ball deep or just slinging it in there. Allen has mastered the game. You cannot fool him anymore. He knows what he's looking at. He knows where he's going with the football. He's confident. He's one of the best to do it right now. As Lamar is too. As as I'm talking about Josh Allen and stuff like this right now, Lamar Jackson is on the opposite side. Same thing. But the issue with the Bills is their run defense. Their run defense is so inconsistent. Last week it was very good versus the Broncos. They did a very good job. And the Broncos are a good team. They're a young and upcoming team. They're not ready. Kind of like the Commanders, but the Commanders found a way to win. Commanders definitely had a little bit different of a matchup than the Broncos did, but nonetheless, they won. So both teams have their issues on defense. But if you can't stop the run, going from, you did good, against the Broncos, the Bills' defensive front really showed up and showed out in a huge way. You're going from Javonte Williams to Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. So this run defense, this defensive front, these linebackers, Matt Milano, Greg Russo, these guys better show up. They better show up, man. Because if they don't have the best game they've had all season long defending the run, they will not win this game. It will be a long game for them. But I think that the Bills get out early. And it kind of takes the passing game or the run game away from the Ravens. So that is why I do have the Bills winning this one. Like I said, it's going to be a phenomenal game. All these games have the ability to be classics. Every single one. All of them are going to be awesome. And this one is probably going to be the best one of the weekend. Two just absolute juggernauts. Two teams that, if, both teams we look at as Super Bowl teams right here. That's how good both of these teams are. So it's like your AFC Super Bowl, besides the conference championship in the divisional round. Bills struggle against the run. Ravens struggle against the pass. Now, if Josh Allen has taken the care of the ball a lot better this year than he has in the past. It's very important to get that out there, because if Josh Allen was having a turnover problem, he hasn't had that kind of a game. So, is it a ticking time bomb? Will he have it? No, he's too good to the point where that's not even. It could happen. Quarterbacks, players have bad games. But it's not going to happen for Josh Allen this week. He's not going to let it happen. If he turns the ball over, if the Bills turn the ball over, they play sloppy football, they're not going to win. You cannot afford to turn the ball over. You have to win the turnover battle. You have to win in the trenches, or you have to try to win the trenches. You have to get out early. You cannot let the Ravens get up early and keep Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson's legs in the game. You have to eliminate. You can't completely eliminate. They're still going to run the football with Lamar Jackson and Henry, but you can at least force Lamar and to attack the better part of your defense, which is the passing defense. Bills' passing defense is very good. So if you get up early, and get up a couple scores, maybe 10, maybe 11. Maybe 10, 14 points early, or at least 10, you can maybe, eliminate some of that worry. You may have an opportunity to limit that threat a little bit, to tone it back a little bit and have the Ravens attack the strength of your defense, which is the passing part of it. So I think the Bills, like I said, the Bills are going to get out to a quick. Whoever gets out to the faster start is going to win this game. It's going to be a great game, but I think this game is going to be won at the beginning of the game for either team. That's my bold prediction. It's just kind of the way both teams are built, both teams look, how they match up against each other. It's going to be a freaking awesome game. But I think that the Bills, Josh Allen, their offense is going to come out on top. They're going to beat the Baltimore Ravens, and they're going to advance to the conference championship to play They're good old foes. They're good old buddies. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. So that would be a good one, man. As we get it every year, that would be phenomenal. It's just the year that the Bills do it in the playoffs. We'll see. Last but not least, we have the Rams and the Eagles. The Rams are dangerous, but they're not dangerous enough to beat the Eagles, man. Look, the Eagles' passing defense is great. The run defense is great. This Eagles team in general is so good. And they're at home. Now, if this was in LA or if it wasn't in Lincoln Financial in Philadelphia, I think that the Rams would actually have maybe a better chance. But that is a very difficult place to play football, especially a playoff game. It's loud. It's cold. It could be windy. It's just a nightmare atmosphere for an opposing team. It's just what it is. It's a big home field advantage for the Eagles. The way their fans are, very loud, and they're going to hype their team up. They're going to get their team going. But the Rams, I don't think they're going to be able to play good enough defense against Jalen Hurts, Smith, Brown, Barkley, Goddard. There are too many weapons that the Eagles have here for the Rams to kind of defend here. They have to pick their poison, kind of like how the Bills are have to do, or what the Steelers had to do playing the Ravens. You just have to pick your poison, Henry or Lamar. It's either they're going to run you over, it's either Derrick Henry's going to run you over, or Lamar Jackson is going to juke you out of your shoes. Kind of the same situation with the Eagles here. I mean, you have Barkley or you have Hurts. Hurts is elusive. He's difficult to tackle. And Barkley, he could do everything. He could jump over you. He could run you over. He could, break your ankles. Barkley can do it all. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a monster. He's great. And I don't think the Rams have what it takes to slow that run game down. And if you can't slow that run game down, you can't slow the Eagles down. And Matthew Stafford, he likes to throw picks, man. He was very good last game. But that means he's due for a pick or due. So throwing those interceptions and turning the ball over against the Eagles, any playoff game really, but especially in this kind of a matchup, kind of like the Bills here, and for the Commanders, you cannot turn the ball over because your opponent will suffocate you. The Lions have the ability to chew the clock and choke the clock versus the Commanders. The Ravens had the same ability to do that against the Bills. And the Eagles had the same ability to do that to the Rams. As all these teams can do that. You cannot turn the ball over. The Rams cannot turn the ball over. You cannot throw, Matthew Stafford cannot throw more than 2 interceptions or more than 1 interception. It won't end good. The Rams have all these weapons on offense. They'll score points. That's not the Rams' problem. It's their defense that's going to be the problem. Now, they did pretty good against Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold kind of confirmed my doubts. He still dances around the pocket instead of just, moving subtly or moving a little bit. He dances around. He tries to run. He drops his eyes. He threw 35 touchdowns last year, but I still think Darnold is not. I don't know. I really don't know. But my point being is this is a different animal. Yeah, you had Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson, and Aaron Jones, but now everyone is just better here in Philly. Jefferson, I will give Jefferson over whoever Philly has at receiver, even though it's A.J. Brown, Smith. You have Goddard. I take Barkley over Jones. I mean, they're just going up against a whole different animal here. Quite literally. So give me the Eagles to soar past the Rams this weekend. Like I said, I think it's going to be a good game. All these games are going to be awesome. But if there's a game where I can see there being like a blowout, not really being close, like I said, man, the Rams are dangerous, and they're going to put up points. It's probably this Eagles and Rams game. Or, if the Commanders don't show up, I can see that being a blowout. Possibly. Even the Chiefs over, I could see 3 out of 4 of these games. I could see all these games being close, but I could see 3 out of 4 of them not being close. It just depends on how the game goes. Depends on how the game starts. You know what I mean? So it's a very one or the other type of a weekend for me. There's no in between. There's no, but yeah, I'm excited for some wild card for some divisional round weekend, man. The best of the best are playing. Who's going to take it home? Who's going to advance to the conference championship? Are the Commanders going to get to the conference championship and upset the Lions? Are the Texans going to get to the conference championship for the first time in franchise history? I believe they're 0-6 in divisional games, 0-5 or 0-6 in divisional games. Will the Rams shock the Eagles? And then who will win the juggernaut matchup between the or between the Bills and the Ravens? Action-packed weekend, man. So thank you guys for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, put that post notification bell on so you don't miss any future videos. And this is the JDW Sports Talk Show, signing off.